and you touched a little bit on this in your testimony, but we've seen in recent years foreign adversaries like Russia and China weaponize the control of energy and, frankly, mineral supply chains as well. How will HR1 impact our ability and the abilities of our allies to counter such geopolitical pressure?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The LNG import-export facility portion of this bill allows the United States to once again start exporting more LNG to our allies. It's well known that Russia has controlled European politics with the pipeline that brings natural gas from Russia to Europe. That's the Nord Stream 1. We also have seen Germany, for instance, turn to more coal and even wood to heat their homes and power their countries during this winter because they are now cannot depend on Russian gas. And while we're on Russian gas, American gas burns a lot cleaner than Russian gas. That's proven. Russian gas is dirtier from an air quality and carbon emission standpoint. But unfortunately, we have seen New England states in this country actually import gas from Russia. Dirtier burning gas. When we have an abundant supply here in this nation, they really can't even measure the amount of gas up in Pennsylvania and Ohio and southern New York and the Marcellus Shale. It's almost immeasurable. We need in America to be able to get that gas to our communities, to our states, for our manufacturing, to improve the quality of lives here at home, but then through the portion of the bill that allows the expediting of LNG terminals across the country to be able to export that gas, not just to Europe to help our allies lessen their dependence on Vladimir Putin's oligarch, but also export that to improve the quality of lives of folks from around the globe. That's in Africa and other parts of the world where cleaner burning U.S. natural gas, which has actually helped us lower our carbon emissions in this country, would help them improve their quality of lives and also lower carbon emissions in those countries.
Hey, Mr. Tucker, let me stay with you. I have heard concerns from some of the critics of HR1 that it does nothing for the renewable energy industry. How would you respond to criticism?
Well, first off, the critical minerals aspect, both NR and ENC, would provide the critical minerals that actually make renewable energy work. The thing about renewable energy, and when Republicans talk about all the above, we truly embrace renewables as part of the energy matrix. But we also know what works to provide the powers that provide that 365, 24/7 baseload power generation that our constituents demand. Renewables are great, but when they're part of that grid structure that's managed every day to provide that baseload power, solar, for instance, starts at 0 every day, and it peaks at some point during the day on sunny days, and it ends at 0. So unless you're able to harness that and store it, it's intermittent. It's a use it or lose it phenomenon. During the rest of the other 12 hours of the day, give or take time of the year, you need to produce baseload energy when parents are getting home to cook dinner for their children or to read to them with the lights and heat their homes and start washing clothes. They need to make sure that power is available. Intermittent power doesn't get you that. And so we need that baseload power generation. The component in this bill that allows pipeline permitting would actually allow natural gas, which is a dispatchable energy source. That means you can turn it on and off as needed. You can't turn solar on, you can't turn wind on, but you can turn dispatchable energy on to meet that peak demand as it's needed. And if states don't have access to an abundant amount of natural gas to meet that baseload power generation, then there is going to be rolling brownouts, just like we almost saw on Christmas Eve of this year. It was almost a Texas-like event all across the South, up into the Ohio Valley, because the wind and solar was not available, and they needed dispatchable energy.
Thank you very much. Chairman Westerman, the Rules Committee's received several amendments aimed at banning energy development in certain areas of the country. My understanding that HR1 does not have any ban on any forms of energy in any areas, but also that it doesn't lift any of the current moratoriums as well. So, clearly you've chosen to try and strike a balance here. Can you explain why you felt this was the best approach?
Thank you, Chairman Cole, for that question. And the bill doesn't ban any current forms of energy. It doesn't establish any new moratoriums. And really, it gets back to having an all-of-the-above energy strategy, because we know we need all forms and all types of energy. And we also know that Republicans have made a commitment. We made it in our rules package that if we put a bill on the floor, it has to pay for itself. It's a unique concept, but it's something that we actually passed in the rules package. And we know if we do moratoriums that scores with CBO. So we will have a bill on the floor that is paid for, that doesn't prioritize one type of fuel source over another type of fuel source. And, you know, along those lines, Mr. Chairman, I find it interesting that our colleagues call our HR1 the Polluters Over Peoples Act, when actually current energy policy puts the world's worst polluters over the American people. It depends on countries like Russia and OPEC Plus for oil and gas. It depends on mining from countries like China. So current energy policy puts the absolutely worst polluters on the planet over the people of America in producing the goods that we do here. And the main two problems with the current energy policy are two things. It's physics and math. The science doesn't work and the math doesn't add up. And HR1 fixes that by using American energy and resources produced by American people in American factories. And it'll be good not only for America, but for the world.
Chairman Westman, we've seen several amendments also aimed at the judicial review reform from private suit. And we've heard criticisms that the bill will vet NEPA, unquote, or quote, eliminate judicial review, unquote. Is that true? And how does the bill address NEPA and the judicial review process under the statute?
We should have took down the numbers every time we heard foundation environmental laws in the testimony. This bill does not destroy any foundational environmental laws. It actually strengthens our laws, and it makes laws that work. The foundation is strong. We're revising the structure on top of the foundation to get something that can not only be used for traditional energy, but it can also be used for the new forms of energy. We've put some time frames in there because it takes far too long for projects to get approved, and it takes far too much paperwork and far too much bureaucratic process to actually get a project done in this country. It causes investors to go look other places in the world because of the burdens that are out there trying to actually do a project and do it right in America. I did engineering work before I came to Congress, and I'm very much aware of what it takes to permit a project and the rigorous process that it is. And it's always the people trying to get the permit waiting for somebody in the bureaucracy to do their job. That's what most of the delay is.
Hey, Chairman Graves, we've stated over and over again that the purpose of the legislation is actually energy security. It's unfortunate to see administration officials weaponize the Clean Water Act to block important energy projects. Do you have any examples to explain how big of a problem that truly is?
Weaponization is